Hey guys, Brand Zero here. I'm bringing you a video today that kind of breaks away from what we've been doing here and moving on to a new game. I guess a new game for the channel, but not a new game for me, and that is Anthem. This is a game that I did not think would leave my lips ever again. If you've kind of been around on my progress over the last while, you've probably noticed that in the very beginning, I started playing Anthem on my Twitch. And that's kind of where I got my start whenever I finally hit the point to start playing games online. And it quickly went away. Anthem ended up being one of the biggest disappointments for me. And I don't think that the community was very far off as well. The sad part about Anthem is that it was very hyped up. And when you actually looked at the trailers for the game and some of the early released footage, the game seemed so amazing. I mean, more or less, just to put it in terms, you felt like you were Iron Man flying around, just shooting and blowing stuff up. It was really great concept, but what ended up happening is EA kind of destroyed their own game. Now, before we continue, I will say that most of all the details are kind of hidden right now. EA is not releasing much aside from a broad overview of what they're exactly doing and how they're moving forward. So most of the details are a little bit up in the air, but we can give you at least some small details on exactly where they're moving and a few things that have been mentioned, which I would like to talk about. So right off the bat, some people are calling this Anthem 2.0. Others are dubbing it as Anthem Next. I'm not sure if the Anthem Next is supposed to lead us towards exactly what No Man's Sky did with their game, but I think that the development of the game is kind of leading us towards that, because some people are saying that they plan on doing a slow release, just like No Man's Sky, where they are going to release small patches over a series of time with one hopefully ultimate patch that turns the game into what it's supposed to be. Meanwhile, others are going more towards a Destiny's Taken King kind of a situation, where they're thinking that they may just do all of the updates in one giant content release. Now, this later one is what has me most worried. And when you link it to this name of Anthem Next, there has been discussion of them releasing this as a new game. Now, I don't know if that means its own standalone game or most likely some kind of a DLC. I'm sure it's going to be a DLC, something that they're going to have a behind a paywall that you have to pay to upgrade the game with this new content. Now, before we move on, I will outright say that that is just absolutely egregious. I hope they don't do it, and honestly, if they do that, I don't know if I will support them, seeing as I still feel like we never received the full content of what we were led to believe we were getting when we initially bought the game. If you were here when Anthem initially released, you probably experienced a lot of the bugs and glitches that all of us experienced when we first started playing this game. For the most part, the gameplay was really fun, and you could see that the game had a really good foundation and starting point, but the ability for you to actually play and enjoy the game was ruined by the constant amount of bugs and things that we players experienced when they tried to play the game. I wouldn't really have too much to say about the missions and such. I didn't think that it was overly inspiring, but at the same time, it wasn't terrible. Kind of like what I've been experiencing lately with Ghost Recon Breakpoint's story is I really just don't connect with the story on Breakpoint, and I'm kind of going along the same lines with Anthem. I'm not really connecting, or I don't remember connecting with the story for Anthem. I know that the developers have been trying to make a positive move towards a good and finished game. They've been receiving a lot of kickback, and a lot of people have been leaving the company. A lot of higher up people who have been kind of keeping the game together, from what I could see, maybe even on Twitter and such. They've been just scattering and leaving the game, bringing it to a point where we thought, I mean, even a couple articles that I read online as early as a couple months ago stated that the game was pretty much dead and that nothing would be continuing. But now we're receiving information that they have been working on it in the background and that they are going to do this big update. So far the details are pretty hazy, but what we've at least heard from some people is that they do plan on overhauling the loot system, the quests, the social aspects, the overall difficulty, the progression system, which I don't know how that differs from an overhaul on the loot system, but we'll see. And then they lastly want to make some changes to the world map. Discussions about the world map is that they may think about cutting it up, and instead of having one broad, huge open area, they want to section it off even more so that they can modify those smaller sections and mess with them without messing up the overall integrity of the entire map. I understand their need to do that, and I do stand behind that point. If it will make the overall experience a lot better, then by all means, you can section off some of the areas of the map behind a load screen. I'm okay with that. I hope it doesn't become too crazy, because one of the great experiences of the game is the fact that you can travel between a couple different areas without a load screen. I really loved that. But if that's what we have to sacrifice to be able to get a game that we can actually play, then I guess that's something that we may have to do. The last portion is that they are saying they are going to remove the constant need to return to the Fort Tarsus every single time you want to go to the mission, which is really great. They're going to be completely rethinking, in their own words, what a mission technically is, which I do like the idea of that. Again, I hope that they go more for a slow content release that slowly kind of upgrades parts of the game with one final big update, kind of like what No Man's Sky did, as opposed to a giant update like Destiny did with the Taken King. But having said that, the main reason I'm just not wanting them to do that is because I hope they don't do like what Destiny did and release the Taken King as a DLC. Now, I'm not saying that Destiny was relatable to Anthem. It was a completely different scenario back then. But I hope that Anthem doesn't try to do that and take more money out of people's hands. Instead, I really hope they do what No Man's Sky did, in the sense of releasing something that is updating the promise that they already made to us and giving us the content we should have had in the initial point. Just like No Man's Sky not charging us for it, I hope that Anthem does the same. And honestly, that's all we really know so far. There's not a ton of information. I will be staying on top of this and updating as we get new information. Again, I am so excited for Anthem being what it should have been at the initial release. I'm really looking forward to playing it. And give me a comment down below on how exactly you're feeling about it. Let's get a discussion going about it. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys.